Spiritual bypassing is keeping you single. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. Okie dokie. So you're thinking, what on earth is spiritual bypassing and how is it keeping me single? Spiritual bypassing is, in a very simple word, avoidance. It's the mechanism that we use as we use our spirituality, whether we are Christian or Muslim or any kind of spirituality, New Age, Buddhist, whatever our spirituality, it is something that we use as spiritual excuse to avoid confronting things like unmet needs, pain, wounds, areas that need healing, and real kind of practical things that would ordinarily maybe kind of bring up some issues for us. So anything that means we don't want to really face the facts or deal with a real issue, it's so much easier to spiritually bypass. After all, spirituality is that other transcendent level of the divine and the intervention of God upon man's ordinary life. We literally have spirituality because we want to believe that there is more to life, to our decisions, to the lives we lead than just the decisions we're making and the circumstances that are presented. We want to believe that above and beyond what is natural, there is something greater at work on our behalf. And this is what is encouraged within religion, within spirituality, because there is truth in that. There is absolute and complete truth in the fact that there is another dimension, another realm that determines this realm, that the spiritual realm is indeed the causal realm. But often the issues and the things that we are bypassing have nothing to do with this understanding, but can easily flow from this understanding that somehow I can refuse to get a need met, acknowledge that I've got a need that needs meeting, not necessarily deal with a certain wound or confront a certain fear, because really God is going to do it. The universe is going to do it. If I meditate long enough, if I meditate long enough, the vibration around me will change so much so that I don't do anything, it just comes to me. Or if I pray throughout the night, or have long fast, is going to make up for the reality that I need to work and have an idea and work at that idea to create wealth. And I need to present myself in the world to be seen by men so that they can choose me, so that I can select them, right? We don't want to face certain things, and so we make it God's problem. And I believe that God's problem, those of you who obviously watch my channel know that I'm Christian, I believe that God's problem is actually spiritual bypassing, is our unwillingness to co-labor with God. And we know, if we are deeply spiritual and mature in our spirituality, that there is a co-laboring dimension to spirituality. There is the place where we have to show up, even if it's just this much, so that God can meet us there, right? And often we just don't know where that boundary is. Where is that line drawn? And that's really down to many of our doctrines, our understanding of that religion or that spirituality. And forgive me if I err more to the side of the Christian experience, because that is the one that I have definite experience over. I don't have experience as a Muslim woman or a Buddhist. But I am certain that if you are listening to this and you are somebody who is spiritual, that this will make complete sense to you. And I know that this video will also trigger some of you, because your spiritual bypassing has almost become the cave in which you hide. And you may decide to pick at and holes in what I'm saying, but that's okay, because this video is not meant for everybody. It's meant for those people who are meant to watch this grow and learn and understand themselves better. And so I want to help us really kind of understand what it looks like, I want to give a few examples, and definitely things I've seen even in this personal development space, and what I experience with my clients who come from every walk of life, every religion, every spirituality, my clients. And so there's a kind of common threads that definitely happen. So We have the broken-hearted girl. This is, this denial that my heart is broken. What I get is, I've been meditating and I have been, doing all these practices, or, I've just been praying, God, take it away, take the pain away, just take it away. And God, if he is not the one for me, then take him away. And all of these very nice sounding prayers that really are just our way of bypassing the obvious and the evident that actually our hearts are broken, and that when our hearts are broken, we want what we lost. We think that what we lost is going to fix the broken heart. We don't realize that we have to confront and face and recognize and identify and accept that our hearts are broken. Right? We don't want to face that because we're too strong and independent. We're a high value girl. We're a black swan. We don't have a broken heart. And this is a really big one, because many of you come to me at the end of a relationship, or when a relationship is giving you a lot of trouble, and it's just so difficult for you to accept that you're brokenhearted. And it's okay to say, I am brokenhearted. It doesn't make you less Christian or less spiritual than the other person. The most spiritual of people are the ones that have enough capacity to embrace the truth about where they are. The Bible says, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And I actually believe that spiritual bypassing is the enemy of truth, growth, and maturity. We have to start from a place of truth, and that is, my heart is broken. My heart is broken over this guy I was texting back and forth with and felt I had a connection with. Yes, my heart is broken. And yes, there might be a voice on the inside of me judging me and saying, oh my gosh, you're so low value. You are so stupid. I mean, this is exactly what you shouldn't be doing. Or I can just look at that feeling. I can just look at that truth and say, that is what it is, without judgment. And we don't want to face the voice of the judge. We don't want to face the critical voice that says you're so stupid. We don't want to face the vulnerability. We don't want to face the transparency and the vulnerability really that comes with saying, even to ourselves, I'm heartbroken that this interaction didn't turn into a date. I'm heartbroken that this date didn't turn into many dates. I'm heartbroken that these many dates did not turn into a relationship. I'm heartbroken that this relationship did not turn into a marriage. I'm heartbroken that this marriage didn't turn into forever. Right? We would rather, lay that all, God is going to sort it out. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to do my affirmations. And here's the thing. All of those things are valuable, and they definitely help us migrate and move forward, but only if we own the reality that this is how we feel. There's a wound. There's a wound I have right now. And I need to start from this truthful place without judgment and with all the compassion I can find, and begin to work and meditate from the place that I'm hurting and that I'm brokenhearted. And nobody needs to be able to take it off whether I should be brokenhearted or not. Nobody needs to give me certification to be heartbroken. I give myself permission to accept that I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken. And we often bypass by making it a God thing. We start to meditate more or not confront and avoid. The next other thing that I've seen a lot of is the angry woman who's in denial. I have seen us carry so much rage, but many of our religions, teach us that rage is not something that we should entertain. But many of our religions validate anger too. The Bible says, be angry, but sin not. That does not say you're not allowed to be angry. Anger is a God-given emotion. It is a spiritual reality. It is the shadow of our purer, more amazing self, but it's still integrated within the self. It is still the self, and it must be accepted as a valuable thing within us that may awaken, and that awakens us to who we are and to the situations in our lives that may not be accurately aligned. But when we are afraid to be angry, when we don't allow ourselves to be angry, because somehow we feel like that anger is going to speak to our level of maturity, is going to speak to, who we are as a person, then what we do is we override that and we put on a front and we act as if we're okay. and issues go unaddressed. And whilst we're doing that, we're telling ourselves that I'm being a good Christian, and I'm being a holy and spiritual person, I'm letting it go, I'm letting it go. When really maybe a conversation with a person who may have offended you is actually what is required. With the man that you're in a relationship with, maybe a conversation with him is actually what's required, but you're afraid of rejection. You're afraid that if you were to point out your truth, he may not want to be around. So you harbor anger, you make it spiritual, you do breathing exercises, you go to church, you repent of your anger, and really you're spiritually bypassing. You don't want to face the facts. You don't want to confront the reality of the pain that you're facing. The other person is the positive thinker. You're so positive. Everything is positive. Just be positive. This is very true within this space, the personal development space, and in many of our religions. It's not to say that we're not to speak the things that are not as if they were. It's not to say that even in a state, the Bible says, let those who are weak say I'm strong, and let the poor say I'm rich. Yes, there's a place of proclaiming a different reality. But before we proclaim the reality, you have to first acknowledge you're poor, right? How can you exercise that scripture unless you at least acknowledge that I am poor? Therefore, the antidote is to say I am rich, I am weak. Therefore, the antidote is to say I'm strong. First, I have to create a relationship with the truth that I'm poor. I have to create a relationship with the fact that I'm weak. And this is the piece that we miss out on. And the truth of the matter is, being positive is only a mission when we're facing negativity, when we're experiencing negativity. And it's okay to say, you know what, I'm a positive person who is going through a very negative experience. I am feeling negative. It's okay to acknowledge what is happening on the inside of you. Because if we don't, we're going to find ourselves being positive in negative situations that need to be addressed with our partner, negative situations that need to be addressed with our family and friends, because we're seeking this ideal without first accepting that there's something negative here. There's a negative energy here. There's negative communication here. There's negative behavior here. And it's not just about thinking positive. It's not just about bypassing what is clearly evident, the information that is coming to you spiritually in most times, because you are spiritually bypassing. I'm hoping that we're starting to get this. We have the waiter. This is the person who's perpetually waiting for love, waiting to meet that person, and they're passively waiting. Why? Because God, if I faith in God, God is going to bring my man, He's going to bring my husband, He's going to bring my man, He's going to bring him. And yes, many of you have heard the argument, what do you think, God is going to bring him to your doorstep? But really deep down inside, you don't want to face the fear of something new, the possibility of frustration as one date turns into an only one date, or you show up for that amazing date and he's so not the guy. You are afraid of disappointment. You are afraid that you may not be able to manage the frustration that comes with dating and trying to find anything precious or wonderful in this world. You will experience frustration. We don't want to accept we don't want to feel ashamed because we are going against the community that we're a part of that speaks against online dating or speaks against dating or flirting. We don't want to face the fact that we're in controlling communities. We don't want to face the fact that we're afraid to disappoint so many people. We don't want to face certain things, so we're avoiding making the real decisions. And so we kind of I'm just waiting on God. It's easy to make everything that is not working in our life God's duty and God's job while we sit around doing everything else, but we're still waking up to ourselves. And some of us are just still waiting, and some of us will continue to wait until we're old, and some of us will continue to wait, and the longer we wait, we feel it is like a spiritual duty towards God to wait for 20 years or 10 years or 30 years. We actually feel like we are in some way giving a spiritual sacrifice through the waiting. And I'm sorry, I am not laughing at you, I'm just laughing at myself, because I used to believe that. I used to believe that waiting, my ex-husband always used to say there's a difference between long suffering and suffering long, and we kind of miss the mark. We go for decades And yes, and that starts to read in our mind as some spiritual offering, that after all of these years, God definitely has like an angel-like being of a man who's waiting for me. And I'm going to be that girl that's going to be like, look at me, aren't you glad you waited? But when you've waited, you're only going to meet a real human man. He's going to come with flaws. He's just going to be older than he was if you had met him when you were a little bit younger. He's just going to be an older version, and you're going to still have to learn to integrate and co-regulate with him, and learn to make room for him, and learn to understand him and grow with him. You know, it's not going to make a difference. So, you know, we can say we are waiting on God, or we are waiting on the universe. We're waiting, you know, on a force above ourselves. We are just denying that we're afraid. I'm happy alone. I found complete wholeness. I'm whole and I'm complete in happiness. And I'm quite guilty of this. I've got to be honest. There is a state of contentment and fullness of life where you're just loving life, that you can overly spiritualize it and act as though, you know, I'm just so happy. Life is so perfect for me. This is something that I sometimes have to nudge myself out of and think, okay, Chengi, nay, we still need to connect. And we do have a lot of spiritual teachings that say to us, look, it is the annual Flirt and Date Challenge in the Black Swan Nation. This is a challenge we do every single year, and it is incredible. The results, the growth, the relationships, the marriages, oh my goodness. What comes out of the Flirt and Date Challenge every year is incredible, because we all throw ourselves into the dating pool, and we gather energy from each other and encouragement and fun, and we do it under the watchful gaze of our coaches. I will be in there helping you ladies. The coaches will be in there helping you ladies flirt and date. But this year, it is accessible only to the All Access Pass Black Swan Nation members. So if you're not in the All Access Pass Black Swan membership, make sure you follow the link below, and I will see you in the Black Swan Nation Flirt and Date Challenge 2022. You know, if you're not happy alone, you don't trust God. If you are not happy alone, then you're not dependent enough on God. Your spirituality is weak. If your spirituality was real and deep and meaningful, you'd be happy alone. And so what we do is we just bypass the reality of how we feel. We bypass this desire. You know, when I'm with my clients and we're talking, and you know, they're doing silly things or low value things or things that are beyond what they ever thought they would do, and I ask them, so what is it that you're genuinely seeking in that moment? They can't figure it out, but for the most part, it's connection. They're doing all of these things to get connection, but because we are not prepared to start at, gosh, I'm a happy person, I love my life, I love my career, I love the life I've created, it's fantastic, but I really would value connection, and I'm going to position myself to find something that I can truly connect with. We just say, oh, I'm happy with the way life is. And we also say things like, God is enough, Jesus is enough. Now listen to me, he is all kinds of enough in all kinds of ways, but he's the one that said it's not good for man to be alone, not us, right? He observed that and said it's not good for you to be alone. So he knows that for the human earthly experience, him alone is not enough. That he's enough only when the human experience comes together as it should. When Adam has Eve, then the human experience of Adam becomes complete, and the human experience of Eve becomes complete. God would come and talk to Adam in the cool of the day, and he knew that that company was enough. But even then, God was like, it is not good. Okay, so this means that our endeavor to find love, it is not a fleshly, low vibrational desire. It is actually the highest frequency, because we didn't determine it. It was determined by God, and he set that low in motion. And so if he thinks that there is more to the human experience than just our relationship with him, then we have to agree, and we have to be okay with that. And we need to stop shaming ourselves for being in that position. We also have the purpose chaser. You know, I'm just about my purpose right now. I'm just about my mission right now. I got no time. I understand. We all have that place and that space in our lives where we do have to commit to our purpose. There is a season where certain things just need to be put together, and you genuinely won't have time for another human in that season. Maybe you're starting a new business, maybe it's a new ministry, maybe it's a new project, a new hobby, and you really want to get good at it, and that means a lot of commitment in terms of time and maybe a lot of stuff going on. It's okay to be able to be realistic and say, okay, in this space of time, I'm just going to put that aside for that. But many of us have been on this purpose thing for like 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, and we still don't make room for the possibility, because really we have hidden in this idea, this spiritual idea of being in purpose, seeking purpose, purpose only. It's just a hiding place. It's a place where we're avoiding really going after and moving in the realm of our desires, because maybe we're afraid of disappointment. Maybe we're afraid that we're not going to meet that person or have that life. Then we have the low value doormat, the one who thinks that allowing other people to treat them badly, allowing a man, a woman, or anyone to treat you badly is some higher level, higher transcendent level, okay? Jesus talks about, you know, if a man orders you to go a mile with him, go an extra mile. This is not about being a doormat. This is about acknowledging power. You see, this person who is going an extra mile is conscious of victory and power and ability, not a doormat who believes that going the extra mile is going to somehow change the mind of this person about who they are. Not thinking, if I go the extra mile for this person, they're going to like me and maybe not ask me to do it again, or love me, or choose me. The person who's going the extra mile is just conscious that you, who is weak, are asking me to carry you a little bit further, because you're the weak one and I'm the strong one. And in this moment, I'm going the extra mile to show you that I'm really ultimately in control. You ask for a mile, I'm going the extra mile. This is an issue of power. The powerful are not intimidated or get offended. They understand that if somebody has to order you to give you help or manipulate you to give you help, you can just give it to them because you can, but not because you're trying to, you know, prove something. When Jesus is like, somebody steals from you, you know, or takes a coat from you, give them another one. He's talking about you are abundant and they are in scarcity. Show them by your generosity that there is abundance, that I am not controlled by your scarcity, that I live in a place of abundance. This is a position of power. This is a position of elevation. But many of us have taken those scriptures or that spiritual teaching and turned ourselves into doormats, giving from empty, you know, constantly giving from empty, and then falling into the nice girl trap. You want to do the nice girl rehab for sure if this is a thing for you. Savior. Who's going to save him? If I don't save him, he's been through so much. He's had a terrible upbringing. He had terrible parenting. And, you know, if I don't save him, and we believe that it is our job to save humanity. I've got news for you, especially for those of us who are, Christian evangelical. We don't save anybody. The Holy Spirit saves people. We just preach the gospel and God saves people. No one on this earth is been commanded to save anyone. Jesus has already saved everyone. All we have to do is share the good news and accept or not accept. The people who we share it with can accept it or not accept it. The acceptance of it means that salvation will be theirs. The lack of acceptance, the opposite. But the truth of the matter is, I cannot save anyone and neither can you. But we have this spirituality that we can save other people. Maybe you're not Christian. Maybe you're spiritual and New Age, or maybe you have a philosophy that, your way is the higher way. And, if you would just show them a higher spirituality and show them enlightenment, you will save them. You will fix them. Whatever is broken, if they would just come to this understanding. This is spiritual bypassing. We cannot save anyone. We couldn't even save ourselves. Okay, so we need to really come into balance. The overgiver, the person who's always giving too much, and feeling that by giving to the point of their own bankruptcy or giving to the point of their own demise, that they're somehow closer to God. But they don't understand that God gives generously because he never runs out. right? He never runs out. We have finite energy. We have a certain amount of energy. We have a certain amount of money. We have a certain amount of resources. Our resources are finite, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. So we can only give from what we have and the surplus of what we have, because much of the energy and much of the resources is for your own survival, to make it through to the next day. So if you happen to have greater capacity to share, then of course, but never to that point. But we somehow feel like if I totally give to that point of nothingness. I'm not saying that in life there won't be situations and relationships where sacrifice is necessary, but that should not be the relationship. That should not be the tone of the relationship. The relationship should not be set upon your perpetual sacrifice. Yes, sometimes I have to sacrifice the movie we wanted to watch, or sacrifice the holiday we wanted to go on so that the family can afford to make it through this month, or sacrifice, that new hairdo so we can save up a little bit to buy him a present. Yes, sacrifice is part of the relationship matrix, but if my whole marriage is built on sacrifice, if my relationship with this guy is built on perpetual sacrifice for me, this is not some higher level of spirituality. This is just really me wanting to buy people's love, wanting to buy their attention because I don't feel worthy and I have this wound and I'm trying to avoid my own self-worth, what I mean to myself, how I feel about myself. I am so busy trying to avoid the reality of how I feel. And last but definitely not least is the girl who's always doing the work. You are always working on yourself. Always. All the time. You can work on yourself and take a season. And I truly believe in this. I believe in this wholeheartedly. It's so important for every single person to take time out. Even married people, to take time out. It might just have to be a shorter time in a marriage because there are the wheels that need to turn. But certainly for a married person, to really take the singleness season out, to really put a specific time, have specific goals. You could give yourself a year in the Black Swan Nation to go through the courses, to show up for the calls, and for no other reason except to equip yourself, to heal yourself, to do all the important, valuable work on yourself, to get to that point where you really feel like, okay, I've taken time out to work on myself. Because guess what? You will never not need to work on yourself. For as long as you're breathing, a human on this planet, working on yourself is going to be a reality, because every single person we meet is brought into our lives to show us the areas that still need working on, the areas that we've done good. We're always working on ourselves. So the idea that you're just going to stop, dating or presenting yourself to be found by the love that you crave and deserve because you're working yourself is another way of spiritually bypassing. It's bypassing what you really want. And really the issue really here is, I don't feel worthy. I don't feel good enough. I don't feel like I deserve it. And maybe that is a conversation we need to be having rather than the I'm working on myself conversation. I hope that this video was really helpful. I really wanted to make sure that I got into it because I see it so much in my practice. And I know that not all of you will have the opportunity to work with myself or any of our coaches. And I really want you to have food for thought in this video and really start to question yourself. How much of what I think is God, how much of what I think is spiritual activity around relationships and men am I really just using to bypass certain wounds, certain hurts, certain realities that I don't want to face? How many of the spiritual practices am I doing that are really just a fascia for avoidance? How many beliefs am I taking from all over the web that keep me limited because I don't want to face the fact that I feel I'm not good enough or worthy or worthwhile? And these are real conversations, and I definitely want to invite you to book a call with myself or any of the coaches and let us work at this. Let's dig into the stuff that you need help, because sometimes facing certain kind of pain needs co-regulation. Facing certain truths that you've been afraid to look at needs somebody else who is compassionate and kind and insightful and capable and trained to actually help you journey through. For those of you who've been watching my videos, I want to thank you. And of course, I invite you to be a part of the Black Swan Nation. I love the Black Swan Nation. Get access to all of the courses. And I'll see you in my next video. In the meantime, take care of you. Love you lots.